Hello, hello. Welcome to the video, my friends. My name is Stormie Calder, your favorite spiritual mentor and spiritual coach. In today's video, I want to talk about the meaning of love, and I'm going to explore that both with what my guides share with me regularly, as well as any other tidbits that come along. Hopefully it's not too noisy here. I feel like you guys will be able to hear me with the mic. So that's part one. What's the definition of love? I think it's being able to hear the language of love through the world and how it speaks and receive it. And then also being able to speak through in multiple languages of love. Now, you can take that literally, or it's really an energy and a set of energies. I'm like, also, speaking of love, feel free to shower me with grace. My birthday is now, pretty much. So, send it in. I got the best birthday vibes. I really do believe this is going to be my best year ever. So circling back to love, there are so many different languages of the energetics of love. So the first thing I'm going to define is how my spirit guides define love and how they have trained me into understanding love, not just as a concept, but as something living, as like a living work, and how to define it in a way that's healthy. And, I was going to say non-codependent, but relatively non-codependent because we're all working through our stuff. My spirit guides always say to me, love is making hard things easy. It's the act, essentially, of alchemizing an energy or a circumstance or a situation or a hard conversation, or it's bridging the gap when you see that there are two things that are separate and it's hard to connect. The act of working through the connection, the act of making an offer of something that was hard being made easy through your own active effort is love. Now, there are many different sorts of love. I'm going to talk on a few different levels. So the first kind of love that's very typical for human relationships is a codependent love. It's not that it's not love. It is love. It's just a low vibrational form of love. So if you guys know the emotional chart of vibration, every emotion carries a vibrational frequency. Love is one of the higher frequencies, but even within love, there are lower frequencies of love and higher frequencies of love. True love is the highest frequency of love. Codependent love is one of the lowest frequencies of love. And people offer them at different levels. And the reason why my guides say making hard things easy is the most favorable spiritual definition of love is because it takes the lower forms of alchemical power around love, because love is a robust power, and transmutes them. So if there is codependent thinking or believing or behaving around love, if there is a lack of love or a lack of worthiness or a lack of availability for love, that's a gap between the separation of something that's not being loved or something that's not loving and something that is being loved or that is loving, depending on the polarity that's necessary for the moment. And when you embrace a hard thing and make it easy for someone else or easy for yourself, but the act of love is really, it's a sharing, it's a compassion, there's an exchange involved, is what bridges that gap and brings the low frequency of love up to a higher form of love, because you're stepping into the higher frequency of love. So I don't know how I'm going to go through this, but I've learned this lesson so many times with my spirit guides. Again, this is like a spiritual curriculum that they've been taking me through the years. And I want to put a caveat. It's not necessarily to be in selfless service. Selfless service has to be done while also serving the self. Otherwise, to give up the self is to give up your own energy. So it's loving yourself and loving another with so much wholeness and compassion that you're overflowing with your own grace, you're overflowing with your own good, you're overflowing with your own spirit, to the point where you have enough to help someone else alchemize their energy, to lift them back into their spirit. effectively. The shared spirit of compassion, the shared spirit of love, which is love without wounding. So I'm going to circle back to the codependent patterns of love, because I feel like you guys would ask me, like, what are the lower forms of love? Lower forms of love are loving from a wounded place, or loving from wounds, or loving within wounds. Obviously, it's a necessary part of ascension. But when we can't raise our own love frequency personally, this is a relational energy that can only heal in relationship. And that requires vulnerability of being seen and heard and felt, and someone else stepping in to bridge that gap and alchemize that energy to help lift you into a frequency of love. And of course, we do this for others as well. Something else my guides showed me through the years is that love is like food. So there's some given, there's some alchemy given, and that's a power, right? It's a gift of power. Love is power. It's a form of power. And then there's an exchange, so that person generally digests it and then feeds in return. So there's like this reciprocal energy of the exchange of the dynamic and compassion of love. Now, I know a lot of you will think about love in terms of like, whatever I give out to the universe, I'll get back. And it's cool. It's nice. I don't find it to be generally true. So the way that I've been working it through is every transaction and I'm going to call them transactions, like, because I don't have a better word at the moment. Because I think when we think of love as being just like all eternal, I feel like when I coach people and when I've worked through this personally, and what I see out in the world is that it's not fair. And this world is not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair at all. Just because you give something out of your heart doesn't mean you're going to be getting it back. So what I do, what I've trained myself to do, and I find to be the healthiest for me, and where my spirit guides have taken me through the years, is understanding every ounce of the transaction of love. What am I giving and what am I receiving, and in what quantities, and do they match? And does each transaction of love give me more power or less? And I'm going to give you an example of this, because it can be codependent. You could be exchanging just codependent love, even if you are spiritual. So for me, I have a very, very potent, very powerful form of love. My love has such a level of purity and innocence about it that it's a very high frequency form of love. Anyone that's worked with me knows that that's the case. Any of my personal relationships are like, yes. So when I step into relationships with my angelic heart, it's pretty rare for people to meet me without a form of payment in one way or another to help bridge the gap by making a hard thing easy for me to show up in my fullness. Generally speaking, there is some sort of a spiritual and financial transaction, because this is the work that I do, is to help people raise their standards, is to help people step into their most robust spiritual awakening and like become who they were always meant to be, and break free of everything that's been holding them back. But my love is a really, really, really high frequency. So when I step into relationships, any relationship, there's a transactional exchange where I'm losing. It's kind of like, I'll give you guys the example of Europe versus the US right now. So I don't know, the dollar, it costs $1.22 for every euro. So it's kind of like that. So when I go into every relationship, I'm like losing like 20 cents on every transaction, and it adds up over time until I just feel totally depleted. So Spirit started asking me to monitor each transaction. And I've heard this from coaches that have worked with me in the past, that have coached me. They were like, you're losing too much in the transactions because your offering is so potent. And I was like, well, if hard things are made easy, I don't want to stop offering my potency because other people lack the ability to meet that potency. So I was like, so what I'm going to do instead is meet people where they are and give them a little bit and see how they handle it. And then give them a little bit more and see how they handle it. And if I feel like I'll get hurt in the process, then I'll give a little bit less. Because when those transactions add up, you end up paying way more than you're getting in return. And then that starts to turn into a codependent, wounded love. There are many of you in my audience that are in this category of, I don't know what I call it, healers. when healers offer love, they offer, generally speaking, more energy than they receive in return. And there is a point where that does become problematic. And what I would say overall, like as we're defining love and looking through love, it's not always safe to heal, you know, not to heal this. I mean, it's not always safe to heal others. Like sometimes we do need to like sit back, reorient ourselves and say, is this going to cost me more than I'm receiving? Or is there a way where I can bridge the gap for both parties right now and all needs will be met simultaneously, which is a very feminine trait. And that tends to be the approach that I take with love is, you know, as long as it feels good and right for me, I assume that if there's a need and that need isn't being met, that God will give me the additional energy to be able to supply the need for others as well as myself. I'm in a mood right now, you guys, so just bear with me. I'm going to take this into an example, though, of my day today. So, nobody knows it's my birthday, okay? But, and by nobody knows, I mean like where I am right now. But the universe knows, and my spirit guides know. And I went to go exchange a dress today that was like easy peasy and cute, and he gave me another dress for free and a necklace for protection. What do they call them? The oh my gosh, the protection emblems. And I was like, I walked away and I was like, gosh, that was so peaceful. I was like, wow. It was like so nice to receive. I received so much love from him. I was like, that was so nice to receive that much love. And then I was like, oh my God, like the universe knows it's my birthday. Like snap. Like a birthday present just dropped out of thin air. Like, are you kidding me? Like I got a cute little black linen dress. Like what? Like, and that's the power of love. This wasn't just a transaction with this, but like there was so much love. There was so much love. And it's like, that's the power of love. And I think people don't understand that love is a power. It is a power. Similar to how your kundalini is a power, your shakti is a power, similar to how your divine eyesight is a power. Love is a power. And as a power, it could be used to abuse or it could be used to uplift. The abuse of love is the codependency patterns. It's the wounding, either causing wounding or being overly wounded or I don't want to say that. No, whatever. I'll cover that later. Or it's allowing your power to grow in love and deciding where that power gets to go and how it grows and whether or not it's worth the investment. I'm going to get really real right now with you guys too. I have had to really wrap my head around understanding what love is because I grew up in an environment where I was completely starved of love. I got love from people outside of my family, but not in my immediate family by any means. So I've been on this like constant quest of understanding the difference between giving and receiving love, the difference between lower wounded patterns of love and higher patterns of true love for the self and others. And then understanding where God fits in between all of that, because people that are in deep darkness can love too, and it doesn't mean they're carrying God. It's just a power. And that power can be used to abuse, or it can be used to provide aid, or it could be used to just be in balance and to allow the universe to give and flow in every transaction, in every moment. So I really feel like the world is loving me right now for the lack of love that I have otherwise. And it's really interesting. I don't know. It's really beautiful. So anyway, going back to the definition of love, my guides say it's making hard things easy. Let me think about what else I want to say here. It's making hard things easy. Essentially, if you can identify the need and you can alchemize it and meet your own needs while meeting someone else's needs, why not? Is that a crazy concept? I think it is, because the way that I do this is so rare. Like, it's so rare. Like, I don't receive this from others generally. So it's like, well, sometimes, but it's like, you know, if you could do a little bit more work, and in exchange for that little bit more work, God, spirit, angels, universe would give you a little bit more power in order to provide for the little bit more work. The work in the heart space, the work in the alchemy, the work in the emotional body. Then why not take care of yourself and others simultaneously? Is that crazy? I think that's what true love is. I think that's what unconditional love is. I think it's being able to step outside of the self and quickly say, is there a way that I can meet my needs and these other human needs immediately? For the people around me. And I that's how I would define love, is like unconditionally. It's stepping into a space, and if you can see people's needs, if you can see them and you don't meet them, I think you're an asshole. Like, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I think you're an asshole. Are there a lot of assholes in this world? Like, yeah. And there are plenty of needs that go unmet and unspoken that other people can see and they just don't meet. So I make it a habit of seeing people's needs. This also is my work. And this is my ascension practice, is to see other people's needs and to see my own needs, because through time, I used to only see other people's needs and meet them. Through time, I acknowledged that as a healer with a potent ability to love and a very potent crystalline angelic power, in order for my needs to be met, I had to also meet my needs in every moment. Otherwise, I was losing in the transactions. So this is what I would suggest for the healers out there, is to embody the archetypal pattern of both. You're holding both polarities simultaneously. So you're offering yourself healing through the transaction and through the acknowledgement of the light within the self, which is your consciousness, which is to say, I have to also hold a little bit of space for myself while I'm holding space for another person. I know that's not typical, but I'll say that's how I handle things, and I enjoy that practice. And then also, if there are needs that you can see that you could meet, and God would have it, why not? Why not? Why not do it all? I'm not saying to be codependent about it, okay? I'm going to give you another life lesson here. You guys, I feel so much codependency out of myself. There were years where I really just any homeless person, I was just like, let me give you $20, let me buy you dinner or lunch, or let me help you. And I got burned a lot with that. Or the time, please laugh at me, laugh with me. Or the time I was in Santa Monica. Oh my God, my heart was so open. My heart was so open. And I saw this homeless man sitting on these steps, and I literally, everything in my heart was like, go hug him. And I was like, and I told God, I was like, if I don't hug him, who will? If I don't offer him love, who will? And I hugged him, and I was like, that was the worst idea. That was a terrible idea. That was a terrible idea, Stormie. Don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that again. It was a terrible idea. I had to wash that energy off for days. We learned through practice, you know. So, I mean, obviously be mindful, learn through my little life lessons here, but ultimately, what I'm saying to you is don't meet absolutely anyone or everyone's needs. I'm saying use your discernment. I expect you to have discernment. God expects you to have discernment. You need discernment. You need good judgment. I think that's something that spiritual communities do not talk about at all, and it is a requirement. My spirit guides have trained me, pretty much since birth, to have good judgment. It's not about not having judgment or not judging. It's about, spiritually, the real lesson is about having good judgment, accurate judgment. You need accurate judgment. The reason why so many spiritual communities say not to judge is because most people have inaccurate judgment. So then when you cast a judgment, you take on the karma. What I've learned through the years, and I did practice non-judgment for a very, very long time. Now I just carry the discernment to be able to know with accuracy what needs to be judged in what way, what doesn't, what can be released, what's in the process of growing. If things are growing and maturing and learning, that's not something you judge harshly by any means. It depends on the maturity levels of individuals. It depends on what they're going through, their circumstances, and lucky for me, I guess I would say, Spirit put me through the paces of understanding the specifics of human development, of the psyche, of the emotional space, understanding arrested development, understanding when to bend a little more, when to give a little more slack, when to pull that back, when to be a little more rigid, when to place in more rules and hard structures. And I have a really beautiful balance of that. I am a Libra. It is my birthday day, my birthday season. And I'm at the last decan of Libra, too. It's just like, it's judgment. It's just judgment day. If you guys don't know Libras, we're very good judges of character. It's our job. It's our ascension. So I need my sunglasses. Okay, I'm going to reflect for another moment here. I've already had a lot of caffeine today, but I feel like I need to just freaking coffee up, man. Un café. Okay, is there anything else my audience needs to know about love? Guides, guardians, angels, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Let me reflect. Maybe a high. Give me a high note. No means no in every language. Shannon, I'm giving you a shout out. They just brought that video to my attention. That was the answer. No means no in every language. When you don't want to exchange love energy and someone pulls it out of you, or you do it based out of I don't know what I'd call it, it's like kind of pulled out of you, and you don't want to give it, that becomes a lower form of love. That becomes the drug of love, right? And my guides talk to me about this all the time, because the archons run the drug of love, which is love's ability to seduce, it's the covert contracts. It's to pull somebody in with niceties, with niceness. There are a lot of spiritual people that fall into this category, by the way, where they're spiritual up front, they're nice, they're sweet, and they get you in, and once they get you in, they're like little shit fits. Like, they just take and take and take and take from you, and then you get like lost in the sauce. That's the drug of love. I have a lot to say about this on women, but I don't know that I'll say it now. You just be mindful. Like, generally speaking, people don't give to just give. Like, there are expectations all over the place. So part of cutting through the drug of love and the archon of that category of love is to understand what the transactions are. What are they looking for? Is it genuine? So the gifts I was given today, I literally checked in with myself and my heart. I was like, is this pure love, or is there an expectation? And I felt it, and I was like, the expectation is for me to continue to be sweet. I was like, that's great. That's fine. That's easy for me. And then I just felt into it. And I do this with everyone that I meet. And I felt into it, and I was like, is this genuine? And I felt this person's heart, and I was like, yeah, this is genuine. I can receive these gifts. I know some of you will be like, I'll receive gifts no matter what. I'm like, I get it. Listen, I get it, but it's not my deal. Like, I receive gifts when they're safe. Otherwise, I have no problem saying no. And that's what they're saying. No means no in every language. It depends on your discernment level. So some people can receive openly and receive and receive and receive, and they know how to reject the codependent forms of love, or the sticky attachments, the mean attachments that come from the drug side of love. Which is not true love, by the way. It's just, it's like it's a bait and switch love. It's not real love. It's like a masked love. And then there's the real love, which real love, it's not that it doesn't carry conditions, because it frequently does. And I think that's where people mix up unconditional and conditional love. Real love does have conditions. True love does have conditions. It's the condition of safety. It's the condition of respect. It's the condition of preservation of what you have, which is that love. It's the condition of growth. It's the condition of prosperity. Because if it's not growing, if it's not prospering, if it's not safe, then it's not love. Get it? Get it? Do you know how many people I've heard in the past be like, you're not loving unconditionally, or like, I need unconditional love. I'm like, if loving you means I disrespect myself or another human, that's not unconditional. That's a codependent drug. It's the drug of love. This is how my guides describe it. There's the drug of love, and then there's the safe, secure love. When we love, whether or not it's genuine, I feel like comes down to whether or not it's secure. How secure are you in your offering of love? What is it? Like 50% of the population has insecure attachment styles around love. So, I mean, a lot of my practice is offering security with love. I don't always receive security with love. I have my own, like, I can be triggered right into insecure styles of loving, of receiving love. And when I see it in others, I do my best to meet that need with additional security, with additional affirmations, with a little bit more than even I think they might need to say, look, there's a little bit more for you. I'm like losing my train of thought, but where was I going? Hold on. Unconditional love doesn't mean loving to the point where you're disrespecting yourself. It doesn't mean loving to the point where you're disrespecting others. It doesn't mean taking from others to the point where they are now disrespected by your inability to sincerely meet their needs in the moment. I'll say that for those in the back. I know I got you in my audience too. All right, Spirit. Is there anything else we want to share here? Sharing is caring. If you want to learn how to love, learn how to respect through sharing. Love is a transaction. Most people think love is just for romance or is just for deep, committed relationships. I see love as something that I offer to everyone that comes to me. And I give in different quantities based on the quantity, the quality of their own heart space, what they can receive and what the transaction is going to be without throwing me out of balance in the moment. I do feel like I love very differently than most people because I have a very open heart space. My heart space can afford to deeply love many humans simultaneously. And that's how I've worked through. I'm hearing the abandonment patterns is that oh my gosh, wow. That's how I healed most of my abandonment patterns and abandonment wounding is that I refused to abandon anyone who was in my energy that I could be there for in one way or another. And again, not codependently. I really don't overextend. I would be there in that way. And because I understand that overextension is an issue, not necessarily for me, but it used to be, I create a very powerful amount of love in small interactions. To the point where I just like save time. I'm like, I think I just gave you enough medicine for weeks. Like, enjoy it. Gosh, I don't know. This is like a wandering little lovey conversation. This is the energy coming up for the week, the month, the year. I don't know. I think we just need to have more conversations around what love is. respect it, and how to disrespect love as a drug. I have no problem doing that. No problem. Maybe I'll do another video on love as a drug, because there is the drug of love, and that's not true love. It's not real love. It's a covert contract in the shadow of the heart, where people do things in a covert way to do emotional rape on the way to other things. And there's always an emotional rape before there's a physical one. So it's like, there's a lot of it in this world, and I don't like it. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't like it. I'm saying this more because I realized I said the drug of love so many times, and I was like, oh, let me just, before we end the video, kind of give a reference point for that, for those of you that don't know, so you have some sort of energy around it to understand. It's like being roofied in the heart space, not necessarily physically. It's an emotional cocktail that's offered in a covert way. To clear that up for anyone who needs to hear that. I would love to hear what you guys think. I'm in a little reflection. Maybe I'll show you guys the ocean behind me too. The sea. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think about love, and or what your definition is, because I think it's just really, really interesting. Hello. My new beautiful space. All right, friends, that's what I've got for you. I know I'm not as peppy as usual. We're going to just roll with it anyway. And I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you all soon.